What if the smartest people don't disappear because they hate people, but because they finally noticed something everyone else missed? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that almost every conversation you've had this week was completely empty. The casual gossip, the complaint about the weather, the constant scrolling to see what people you barely know are doing. Most people look at this social noise and see connection, but the highly intelligent look at it and see a slow, quiet drain on their mental survival. In this video, we aren't just talking about being an introvert. We are talking about a deliberate psychological shift. A moment where a person decides that peace is worth more than popularity. Today, we are going to explore the hidden psychology behind why the most brilliant minds eventually choose to vanish from the crowd. We will break down the science of their silence, the evolutionary design of their focus, and why their disappearance is actually their greatest strength. And pay close attention, because the final reason we will discuss is the most powerful psychological shift a human being can experience. It is the moment everything changes. Imagine you are standing in a crowded, noisy room. Everyone is talking at once, music is blasting, lights are flashing, and you are trying to solve a complex puzzle in your head. How long could you last before your brain simply shuts down? For highly intelligent people, daily social life feels exactly like that noisy room. But here's what most people don't realize. Smart people don't just hear words. They analyze everything. They read micro-expressions. They calculate motives. They notice the subtle lies. And they feel the unspoken tensions. This happens because of how their brains are wired. In psychology, we refer to this as a highly active System 2 thinking process. The Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, Daniel Kahneman, famously wrote about two systems of the brain. System is fast, instinctive, and emotional. Sakurnen's System 2 is slow, deliberate, and logical. While most people navigate social situations using the effortless autopilot of System 1, highly intelligent individuals constantly run System 2. They are processing deep dynamics, which requires massive metabolic energy. When they spend hours doing this in shallow social environments, their cognitive battery doesn't just dip, it completely bottoms out. They don't leave because they think they are better than others. They leave to survive. A fox doesn't chase every rustle in the dry leaves. It sits quietly in the shadows, watching, waiting, and conserving its energy for the hunt that actually matters. Highly intelligent people protect their focus the exact same way. But social exhaustion is only the surface. What happens when they realize their own social circles are actively holding them back? Then something strange happens. At some point in your life, you've probably felt the pressure to have a large friend group. We are told that more friends equal more success, more happiness, and a fuller life. But the smartest people reach a point where they look at their contact list and ask a brutal question. How many of these people actually help me grow? This isn't cold-hearted. It's evolutionary science. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar famously discovered that the human brain is only capable of maintaining about 150 stable relationships. This is known as Dunbar's number. But modern psychological research shows that as cognitive capacity and focus increase, that number shrinks drastically. Highly intelligent individuals subconsciously prune their social networks down to a select few, sometimes just 2 or 3 people. They realize that maintaining low-value, high-maintenance relationships is a form of cognitive debt. When you have to manage the drama, expectations, and fragile egos of dozens of acquaintances, you have no energy left to build your own life. That's where everything changes. They don't announce their exit. They don't start arguments. They just slowly, quietly slide into the background. The fox travels alone. It does not seek a pack to feel secure. It knows that too many voices in the brush only make it easier for the predator to find them. True security lies in self-reliance. But choosing who to keep close is only half the battle. The real shift happens when they stop seeking validation entirely. Think about the last time you achieved something great. What was your first instinct? Did you want to post it online? Did you want to call someone to tell them? For most of us, the joy of achievement is tied to the applause we get from others. But psychologists have discovered something surprising about highly intelligent minds. They have transitioned from an external locus of control to an internal locus of control. This concept, pioneered by psychologist Julian Rotter, explains how we view the source of our outcomes. People with an external locus believe their success is validated by outside forces, praise, titles, and social proof. People with an internal locus believe their success is defined entirely by their own standards, efforts, and self-assessment. When a highly intelligent person masters this internal control, they no longer need the crowd to tell them they are doing well. They don't need the likes, the nods of agreement, or the envious looks. And once you realize you don't need anyone's permission to feel successful, the need to constantly show up in social spaces vanishes. You stop performing, and you start living. A fox doesn't perform tricks for the other animals in the forest to prove it is clever. It hunts in silence, stays fed, and lets its survival speak for itself. And yet, this quiet confidence often triggers a deep psychological shift that most people mistake for arrogance. But the truth is far more fascinating. Have you ever bought something simply because everyone else was buying it? Or wanted a specific career path just because it seemed prestigious to your peers? This is what French philosopher and psychologist René Girard called mimetic desire. Girard argued that humans do not know what to want on their own. Instead, we copy the desires of others. We look at our friends, our neighbors, and social media influencers, and we copy their goals, their anxieties, and their lifestyles. But highly intelligent people are highly observant. They notice how easily the crowd is manipulated. They see their friends trapped in endless loops of buying things they don't need, to impress people they don't like, to ease anxieties they shouldn't have. Modern neuroscience shows that this social copying is driven by our brain's mirror neurons. These neurons are designed to help us empathize and imitate, but they can also cause us to absorb the emotional chaos and shallow ambitions of the people around us. The smartest people disappear because they want to clean their mental slate. They want to know, what do I actually want when no one is watching? If you're enjoying these psychology lessons and want to develop a stronger, more strategic Fox mindset, take a second to subscribe to Fox Mindset. Every week, we break down the hidden human behavior and psychological strategies that help you protect your peace and build quiet confidence. Now, this brings us to a critical turning point. When you stop copying others, you start seeing the world with terrifying clarity. But this clarity comes with a heavy cost, one that forces a choice. Have you ever tried to work on a difficult task, only to have your phone buzz with a random text? You answer it quickly, put the phone down, and try to go back to work. You think you only lost 10 seconds, but psychologically, you lost far more. This is what researcher Dr. Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine discovered. Her studies show that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to a deep focus state after a single, tiny distraction. Psychologist Cal Newport calls this attention residue. When you switch your attention from your deep work to a social message, a piece of your brain's processing power remains stuck on that message. Highly intelligent people are often obsessed with achieving what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called the flow state, that beautiful zone where time disappears, and you are operating at peak cognitive capacity. But you cannot enter the flow state if you are constantly accessible to everyone. To build anything of real value, a business, a masterpiece, a deep understanding of a complex subject, you must be unreachable. The smartest people disappear because they know that every quick check-in from an acquaintance is a tax on their genius. When a fox is tracking its prey through the deep snow, its focus is absolute. It doesn't look left, it doesn't look right, and it doesn't listen to the birds chirping above. It becomes one with the goal. But hiding away to work is often temporary. What about the permanent disappearance? The one that happens when smart people finally realize the truth about human conflict. When we are young, we want to win every argument. We want to correct every mistake we hear, debate every wrong opinion, and prove to everyone how smart we are. But as intelligence matures, something beautiful and quiet happens. The desire to be right is replaced by the desire to be at peace. This is where the Fox mindset begins to show its true power. The legendary psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once wrote, Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Highly intelligent people realize that most social debates are not intellectual exchanges. They are ego battles. When people argue about politics, lifestyle, or beliefs, they aren't looking for the truth. They are looking to defend their identity. The smartest person in the room is often the one who says the least. They see the bait, they analyze the trap, and they choose not to step in it. They don't try to change minds that don't want to be changed. Instead, they smile, they nod, and they quietly walk. Away they disappear from the drama, because they realize their mental energy is too valuable to be wasted on arguments that do not matter. A fox doesn't fight a badger over a den. It doesn't need. It knows when to walk away. It saves its strength for the battles that guarantee its survival. This brings us to the most profound, yet deeply unsettling reason of all. It is the final step in cognitive evolution, and it changes how you look at loneliness forever. There is a big difference between being lonely and being alone. Most people flee from solitude because when they are alone, they are forced to face themselves. The quiet brings up their fears, their regrets, and their insecurities. But for the highly intelligent, solitude is not a prison. It is an alchemical chamber. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung called this process annus individuation. It is the psychological journey where a person integrates their conscious mind with their unconscious mind, including their shadow, the dark, unexamined parts of their personality. Individuation requires a complete withdrawal from the collective unconscious of society. You cannot find out who you truly are while you are constantly absorbing the opinions, expectations, and judgments of the crowd. To become a whole, fully realized individual, you must step out of the herd. When highly intelligent people disappear, they are often undergoing this exact transformation. They are confronting their own shadows, dismantling their old conditioning, and rebuilding themselves from the inside out. They don't leave because they are running away from you. They leave because they are finally running toward themselves. The fox's den is deep, dark, and solitary. It is not a place of sadness. It is a sanctuary. It is where the fox heals its wounds, plans its next moves, and prepares to emerge stronger. Maybe the smartest people never actually disappeared. Maybe they simply stopped disappearing from themselves. When you see someone step away from the noise, don't assume they are lost. They might have just found the path they were meant to walk all along. They have traded the chaotic applause of the crowd for the quiet, unshakable confidence of their own mind. If today's video changed the way you see the quiet people in your life, the next step is understanding the psychological traps that keep most people stuck in the noise. Click the video on your screen right now. 11 FoxMindSet myths you still believe. I'll see you there.